I don't know about you, but nothing gets me more fired up than a really motivational quote. Maybe it's because I've always been involved in self-help and I've always loved it, but I find that sometimes just hearing that right quote puts my mind in the exact right place where I need it to be. So what we've done is we've compiled some of the best motivational sales quotes of all time. And I think you're really going to enjoy them. So in this video, I'm going to show you the best motivational sales quotes of all time. Check it out. Jocko Willink once said, "Don't expect to be motivated every day to get out there and make things happen. You won't be. Don't count on motivation. Count on discipline." This is perfect for selling. We need to not count on motivation, but count on our discipline. Virgil once said, "Fortune favors the bold." And this is so true in sales. We need to be bold in every single selling situation, and as a result, that's how we become successful. Winston Churchill once said, "Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It is courage that counts." And this is so true in sales, right? They're not shooting at you. You need to push through. You need to have that courage to pick up that phone, to push that prospect and make things happen. Ann Landers once said, "Opportunities are usually disguised as hard work." So most people don't recognize them. And this is right on. We need to create our opportunities and not expect them to come to us. Dr. Henry Link said, "We generate fears while we sit and we overcome them by action." And this is right on for sales. When we're at home, we're in our office just waiting for that phone to ring, that's where all the fears start to creep in. You need to get out and take action and generate your own opportunities. Steli Efti said, "Talking isn't selling and selling isn't closing." I love this, and this is right on. Just because you're great at talking doesn't make you great at selling. And just because you're trying to close doesn't mean that you're selling. You need to follow a process that engages people in the right types of conversations. Nancy Nardin said, "The one thing you're putting off or dreading, that's your brain telling you it's the thing you need to do most and next. Get it done, stop dreading, do." When it comes to sales, it's so easy to procrastinate those really important things, but don't dread it, just do. Chris Grosser said, "Opportunities don't happen, you create them." This is perfect. We need to go create our opportunities. We need to take full responsibility for our pipeline, so go create your opportunities. Bob Burg said, "Sometimes the most influential thing we can do is listen." And this is right on. Our goal isn't to persuade, it's not to get someone to agree with us, but instead it's to understand what's going on in their world and then connect our solutions with what's going on. Laura Stack once said, "True productivity comes from allowing yourself to make mistakes. Do so and you'll succeed more often than 10 perfectionists." This is right on. We can so often get stuck in this perfectionist cycle where we want it to be perfect, but sometimes you just have to allow yourself to make mistakes, and as a result, you're going to be 10 times more successful than any perfectionist salesperson out there. Brian Tracy once said, "There are no limits to what you can accomplish except the limits you place on your own thinking." This is so true in selling because we so often place these limits on ourselves, but it's just in our head. Sell higher, sell bigger, and go make things happen. Aaron Ross said, "Companies should be selling ideas more than benefits. Selling ideas, not stuff." This is so true, right? Your prospects want to engage with you because you have ideas, not because you have some benefit or not because you have some stuff. Sell ideas. Mark Robert said, "It's no longer about interrupting, pitching, or closing. It's about listening, diagnosing, and prescribing." This is exactly the tome of modern day selling. You need to be listening, diagnosing, and prescribing. Trish Bertuzzi said, "The customer doesn't care about features. They care about solving their problems." I love this. Your prospects don't care about your offering. They don't care about your features. What they care about is that you can solve the problems that they currently have. Joe Conrad said, "Sales is an outcome, not a goal. It's a function of doing numerous things right, starting from the moment you target a potential prospect until you finalize the deal." This is so true, right? We so often think that it's about doing these big things, but it's really about doing just a lot of small things and pulling it all together. That's what successful selling is all about. Frank Becker said, if you don't believe in what you're selling, neither will your prospect. This is so true and so simple, but if we don't believe in what we're selling, that we're actually helping people, your prospects are never going to buy from you. You must believe in what you sell. Robert Collier said, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. This is right on. It's about those small steps. We don't want to be the hare who's just running here, running there. Instead, you just want to be the tortoise taking small, consistent action every single day. John Doerr said, leaders must get across the why as well as the what. And this is so true in sales as well. We need to understand why a prospect needs to change, not just that they must. We don't want to focus on our products. Instead, we want to focus on your prospects' why, what's driving them. Tim Ferriss once said, focus on being productive instead of being busy. I cannot agree with this more. People that are always busy are usually the least productive. Don't focus on being busy. In fact, you shouldn't be super busy. You should just be dead on productive. Helen Hayes said, the expert in anything was once a beginner. You know, the process of learning is about starting somewhere. And if you're in a beginner role right now, that's okay. You need to start there in order to get wherever you want to go. Barbara Weaver Smith said, high-level buyers want to talk to people who know more than they do. They hunger not for information, but insight. This is exactly right on in modern day selling. You can teach a monkey to provide information, but what a great salesperson does is provides insight to their prospects. The great Michael Phelps once said, there will be obstacles, there will be doubters, there will be mistakes, but with hard work, there are no limits. This is so right on for selling. We've got to be willing to push through those doubts, to be willing to push through those mistakes. But if you keep going, there are absolutely no limits. Harvey Mackay once said, a mediocre salesperson tells. A good salesperson explains. A superior salesperson demonstrates. A great salesperson inspires others to see for themselves. This is modern selling in a nutshell. You need to inspire others to actually discover for themselves that they need what you have. Tony Robbins said, the only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself. It's so inspiring and true. We need to stop making excuses for ourselves with our own BS stories. Get over that self-limiting story and instead focus on what you really want to accomplish. Roy Bartel said, most people think selling is the same as talking, but the most effective salespeople know that listening is the most important part of their job. And it is so true, right? We make sales by understanding our prospects better than their spouses, better than their business partners. When you can really bring them out, that's when you have a good prospect. Andrea Wald said, yes is the destination, no is how you get there. This is so true on so many levels, right? Your prospects may say no to you multiple times during a selling situation. And when you're making dials, you're going to be getting lots of no's along the way. Yes is the destination, no is how you get there. Michelle Obama said the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work for them. Now, obviously not a sales-specific quote, but it is right on. We are limited only by the reach of our dreams and our willingness to just make it happen. Winston Churchill said, success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. And this is exactly sales in a nutshell. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You are going to lose sales. You're going to get a lot of no's. But if you're willing to do that, without losing your enthusiasm, that's how you become successful over the long run in sales. John Maxwell said, the pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, and the leader adjusts the sails. These are weird times. We need to be adjusting our own sails, not hoping that the wind changes its direction. Malcolm Forbes said, victory is sweetest when you've known defeat. You know what? It's so true in sales too, is that you are going to experience a lot of defeat along the way, but that is what makes victory so sweet. John Mason once said, the most unprofitable item ever manufactured is an excuse. Tongue in cheek, but it's right on. We have to let go of the excuses that we make for ourselves and focus on where we want to get to and take full responsibility for getting there ourselves. Richard Branson once said, business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. And I think we all have had that opportunity where we miss it and then we keep kicking ourselves over the long run, but stop dwelling on what you missed and instead focus on the future. Conrad Hilton said, success seems to be connected with action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. And it's right on. You need to take consistent action. Success doesn't just come to us. We need to be always moving forward. Tony Robbins said, engaging people is about meeting their needs, not yours. When it comes to selling, it's not about us. It's all about them. Now, to close out, I'm going to share with you a couple of my favorite quotes that I've said over the years that I think you'll really connect with. When you are perceived to be like every other salesperson, the protective walls go up. We need to be distinct from everyone. When you're a high-fee expert, clients treat you infinitely better than when you're begging to give your information away. You deserve respect, and the only way you gain that respect is by seeing yourself as a truly high-fee expert. Think of yourself as a doctor rather than a salesperson. Stop being the cheesy salesperson, instead be the doctor looking to diagnose exactly what is going on in your prospect's world. You don't want to persuade everyone to buy from you, you want the right people to buy from you. Stop trying to sell anything to anyone. Instead, focus on finding the right people. People don't buy from people they like. They buy from people who understand them. You don't need your prospects to be your best friends. Instead, make sure that you understand them better than anyone else around them. Realistically, at least 50% of your prospects will not be a good fit for your offering. That's okay. In fact, the data supports this exact idea. Don't focus on trying to sell to everyone. Instead, move on from those people that are not a fit so you can focus all of your time on the people who are a fit. Know what challenge you solve and only help people with those particular challenges. There are so many distractions out there. Instead, narrow your focus to only people that you can help. You and your services will immediately seem higher value to the prospect when you ask them good, meaningful questions. We don't create value by doing some ROI calculation or by telling them how great we are. Instead, we create value by demonstrating that we understand them through the quality of our questions. If you are strong in the beginning, the end is the easiest part of the sale. People always want closing techniques, but the reality is that the close should be the easiest part if you were strong early on in the sales meeting. Always call as high up as is relevant, period. We want to be calling high up the food chain. If you are calling on low-level prospects, you are beating your head against the wall. Every goal in selling must be personal if it is to be compelling. We are ultimately driven by our personal goals. So make sure you're super clear on why you want to be successful personally. So there are the best motivational sales quotes of all time. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an awesome free training on the data-driven approach to closing more sales in today's marketplace. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more sales at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube and be sure to subscribe by clicking my face that should be right about here to get access to a new video just like this one each week.